For me, I would only create something that came out of the Father's desire, out of his heart. So I'm co-creating. I'm not creating independently. So I'm always going to be engaged in the Father's heart. If I'm talking about something around my own life or my own environment, and I want my intention to be blessed and favored and all of that, then I'm just outworking the Father's heart as he's revealed it to me, and I can choose the realities around my life by the intention for that to form and that to be how I live and living in that place of rest. But if there's something which is a creative something outside of myself or my own position, then I'm going to engage in the Father, and there's a process. And I think I've taught this process, but the process is to engage in the cradle of life. That is where the heart of God reveals to your heart his desires, and you come into agreement with them. So it's a brooding place, a place where you become pregnant with his desire. And by brooding and meditating and just being in his heart, then you begin to resonate with his thinking, his desires. And then when you're in agreement with that, when you become in harmony, then you become the voice that can speak that into being. So then there is a process where you engage in that voice. It's like the waterfall, where the sound of many waters, where you are the voice of God, and engaging, becoming his voice, then takes you to a place where you eventually end up in the chamber of creation, and you can go through various stages to get there. And in that place, then when you speak, light responds and you can create. Now I'm describing a process that becomes a state of being, in that when I created, for instance, some guardian beings, I didn't consciously go through all of those steps. It's like, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. It's where I dwell and where I live. So when I was in the Council of Guardians and they said, will you create some guardians? And I was a little bit taken aback in that I'd never heard another being ask me to make some more of them before. So I went to the Father and checked it out. And it's like, do I have permission to do this? Is this your heart? And he was a bit like, well, of course it is. You know, they're a council of guardians. They're not going to tell you anything which is not according to my heart. So, oh, okay. So, but I was just learning, and but he said, yeah. And then I was sort of intimating, well, how do I do it? And he said, well, you know how to do it. It's the same way you do everything, by intention. And so then, armed with that, I in a sense, I already knew the Father's heart. I had chosen to come into agreement with it. So I really didn't have to go and sit in the cradle of life to find what was his thoughts. His thoughts had already been directed towards me by the guardians, in effect. And if I just said yes to them, knowing that the Father had directed them, then I would have short-stepped a whole load of faffing around trying to work out what I should be doing. And then I went back to the Council of Guardians, and by intention, I just released that intention to create, and that creation formed. So light responded to my desire. Now, I did ask the Father, well, why are there not enough guardians? It's like, why should I don't, it's almost like, well, why should I be creating more guardians? Didn't you create enough in the first place? That was my sort of underlying thought, although I didn't voice it. But it was in my mind. It's like, but then what he said was, because he knew what I was thinking, he said, well, we've left many things undone and incomplete for you as our sons to complete. So that is the co-creating that we're engaged in. There are things that they deliberately have chosen for us to be able to complete, fulfill, and everything else. If you enjoy these videos, would you please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe? It really does help. Thank you very much.